know, as I was sitting there, I tried to imagine what it was like 67 years ago where I was sitting. All of you would see 33 planes on fire. 33 planes out of 39 were destroyed that day. There would be people running up and down with buckets of water and hose, trying to save the last few airplanes left, because they were so determined to get up and fight to defend America. You know, I come from the generation that says, Pearl Harbor, what? We didn't appreciate much of what people like my grandfather did, who was in Pearl Harbor in the military at the time on a ship defending America. I've driven by this place so many times, and I can't tell you that I never knew that this place existed. And as the representative of the Eva area in Eva Beach here, I can tell you that I'm going to fight to have the same recognition that Pearl Harbor has, because this is where it began, right here, where you folks are sitting. We deserve that recognition. And so, as a member of the Finance Committee, I've definitely already committed to do whatever we can to introduce legislation to actually get approval for this land to be taken more seriously. We envision a walking tour where people of the generation behind me and all of you can go and see the actual bullet holes that are in the ground and the areas that have been bombed. Just not too far over here, you can take a little walk and a stroll, and you'll see that there's a lot of holes in some area. That's what happens because the concrete was very fresh when they just laid it. And so when some of the planes were on fire, it created a bubbling effect. And so I hope that they don't get rid of that. I want people to see exactly what happened here. And so I want to thank Mr. Bond for helping us all to remember, so that he can help people like me who say Pearl Harbor, what? But now they're not going to just talk about Pearl Harbor. They're going to say, you know what, but it started in Eva. And 4 Marines died. And Mr. Hughes here, who I got to meet yesterday, who came here as well, can be remembered. And so on behalf of the House of Representatives, I do want to read this here. The House of Representatives of the State of Hawaii hereby presents a certificate to Marine Corps Air Station Airfield, and for me today to Mr. Bond. Whereas the 83-year-old Marine Corps Air Station has a rich and storied history dating back to its beginnings in 1925, when it was carved out of the Kiawe bush, becoming one of the first airfields in Hawaii. Whereas on December 7, 1941, this field became an indelible part of American history by being the first military installation attacked by Japanese firefighters just minutes before they assaulted Pearl Harbor. Whereas the 4 Marines that we mentioned earlier were killed, as well as Francisco Tesodon, a plantation worker, and a 6-year-old Yaeko. Whereas throughout the Second World War, Marine Corps Air Station Eva Field played a critical role in America's war effort in the Pacific by serving as the major marine aviation headquarters in the Pacific, and was a staging and transit point for all marine assets moving into the combat zones in the South Pacific. Whereas on June 18, 1952, they had to close this field because the runways were insufficient for jet aircrafts. Whereas in recognition of the significant role that Marine Corps Air Station Eva Field played in our nation's state history, historian John Bond, yeah, you are officially a historian to all of us, brought together a diverse group of all of you, current and retired military members, private citizens, a bipartisan group of elected officials. under the banner of Saving Everfield to protect the historic airfield from development by placing it on a list of the National Historic Places as a national landmark. Now, therefore, the House of Representatives of the 24th Legislature of the State of Hawaii on this day, December 7, 2008, commends the efforts of John Bond and the tireless efforts of all of you who are dedicated and committed to the preservation of this historic Everfield. Mahalo, Mr. Bond, when you present this.